For thousands of years, humanity has built its justice systems on a single core assumption: that harm must be answered with punishment, that suffering must be met with more suffering, that pain can somehow be corrected by inflicting even more pain. But what if this entire foundation, this bedrock of our civilization, is completely wrong? What if crime isn't a moral failure at all, but a neural injury? And what if punishment isn't justice, but the institutionalization of that very same injury? This is the provocative starting point of neurojustice, a radical reframing of everything we thought we knew about law and order. It was born from the work of a researcher named Irfan Boko, who dared to ask a simple, yet incredibly dangerous question: what if justice finally evolved? Modern neuroscience is revealing something unsettling, something that challenges our most deeply held beliefs. It shows us that most harmful behaviors don't originate from a place of evil, but from dysregulated circuits within the brain. Think of it like this: an overloaded amygdala, a shutdown of the prefrontal cortex, a collapse of the dopamine system, or a profound disconnection caused by trauma. When the brain is injured, behavior fractures. It's a biological reality. And yet, how do our justice systems respond? They respond with punishment, and here's the crucial part. That response isn't driven by our higher, rational cortex. It's driven by the oldest, most primitive layer of the human brain, the reptilian survival circuit. Punishment isn't a rational, calculated response. It's biological. It's fair, masquerading as justice. If a society builds its courts and laws from this reptilian brain, it will inevitably produce reptilian justice, a system based on retaliation, dominance, intimidation, and exclusion. This isn't the mark of an advanced civilization. It's our most basic instinct, wearing a judge's robe. And that, as Boko powerfully argues, is precisely why punishment doesn't reduce crime. In fact, it often reproduces the very same neural injury that created the harmful behavior in the first place. Prisons become trauma factories. Courtrooms become emotional battlegrounds. The entire system transforms into a closed loop, an endless cycle of unhealed wounds. This isn't justice. It's recursion. It's a glitch in our social programming. But there is another model, one that's far older, wiser, and infinitely more stable. A model we see all around us: plants. For 450 million years, plants have mastered the arts of coexistence, repair, balance, and non-aggression. They don't punish. They don't retaliate. They certainly don't wage war on each other. Instead, they grow. They heal. They stabilize entire ecosystems simply by existing, by following their nature. In the framework of neurojustice, this botanical consciousness becomes the blueprint for a non-aggressive civilization. We don't need to literally become plants, of course, but perhaps it's time we finally learn from their quiet, ancient wisdom. So, if we let the concept of punishment collapse, what rises to take its place? A new architecture for justice emerges, one that is simple in principle but revolutionary in practice. Imagine Neuro-Courts, where judges are trained not to punish, but to diagnose neural dysregulation and guide the process of repair. Imagine Neuro-Police, who are not force-based responders, but specialists in emotional regulation and crisis trained to calm a volatile situation instead of escalating it. And instead of prisons, picture neuroregulation centers. These aren't cages. They are trauma-healing ecosystems, environments specifically designed to help the nervous system reconnect, rebuild, and find its way back to health. Justice finally becomes an application of neuroscience, not an act of revenge. It's about restoration, not rupture. It's the cortex taking charge, not the reptile. This is the heart of Irfan Boko's proposition. The future of justice is, and must be, biological. Let yourself imagine, just for a moment, a world without prisons as we know them. A world where prisons are not active institutions, but historical museums. Imagine children walking through the old, cold cells and asking their guide, "Why did people put injured minds in cages?" And the guide answers, "Because for a long time, they didn't know any better. But eventually, they learned." A world without punishment isn't a descent into chaos. It's the opposite. It's the first true emergence of a mature civilization, one where our higher-order thinking leads the way, and fear no longer gets to write our policies. When neuroscience, ecology, and ethics finally converge, something truly transformative happens. Justice stops being a reactive knee-jerk response and becomes an evolutionary process. Our institutions stop copying our oldest, most primitive instincts and begin to reflect our highest, most sophisticated capacities. As a species, humanity finally stops just surviving and actually begins maturing. This is the promise of neurojustice. It is a bridge between the brain we inherited from our ancient past and the civilization we are truly capable of becoming. It's a vision that was seeded by Irfan Boko, but it's a future that belongs to all of us. The question is no longer, how do we punish those who break? The real, more urgent question is, how do we repair the circuits that break us all? The age of punishment is coming to an end. The age of cortical justice is beginning, and the world that emerges from this shift will be almost unrecognizable. It will be gentler. It will be wiser. It will be more human than humanity has ever dared to be. Boko's neurojustice isn't just a manifesto for a new legal system. It's a manifesto for a new civilization. Thank you for watching.